Hello everyone, welcome back to the show. We're here at the Yom Hashoah program at the Hebrew Institute of Riverdale. We're doing something very interesting. We're doing a Seder. A lot of times, different shuls do multiple programs to remember the Holocaust, but we're here doing a very interesting Seder. Let's take a look.
Each part has 4 components that are designed to affect memory. Hachana, preparatory focus, dibur, verbalization, reading in unison, testimony, Hebrew song, Yiddish song, English reading, and then ma'aseh, reenactment, followed by machshava, reflection. Through the ritual enactment of each of the 4 parts of the Seder, we shall strive to feel as if we ourselves were there, as if we too are survivors, as if we too experienced the Shoah.
I would like to call on the Hartman family, Evelyn, Jim, Jacob, and Benji. They will light the candle in the memory of their parents, Rachel, and grandparents, Rachel and Marcus Berger.
At 10 a.m., a siren will sound in Israel, and the entire country will stand still. People will get out of their cars wherever they are. The movies and theaters will pause. The entire country comes to a standstill to remember and to commemorate the tragedy that was the Shoah. Please rise as we sound the siren.
Korban Gashmi. We pause now to reflect on how each of us would have encountered such horrors. First, we were shorn of our possessions. Then we were shorn of our dignity. Then we were shorn of our lives. We imagine ourselves as if we had personally, each one of us, experienced the Shoah.
In the Chorban Banim Uvanot, as we seek to experience the suffering of families torn apart, we ask all children to separate from their parents and move with a kiva to the corner of the room that's sectioned off. Ask all children and teens to move to that side of the room.
This was a really incredible experience. As a third-generation Holocaust survivor, it was just really moving. And I know that bringing this type of program together is not easy. And developing a Seder is something very unique. How did you develop this incredible opportunity to really learn about the Holocaust?
Well, I've thought for many, many years that the only thing that's remembered in Jewish history is that which becomes part of Jewish ritual. When one thinks about the Exodus from Egypt, if it wasn't part of the Seder, we wouldn't know about it. When one thinks about the story of Purim, if that didn't become part of ritual, it would be forgotten. And therefore, for the Shoah to be remembered, it requires that it be ritualized. And this was a modest attempt to have it ritualized. The seeds were planted, and then Rabbi Sarah and Rabbi Stephen just took it to another level, and to be present and to hear survivors, those testimonies when there were young people who weren't there were speaking the words of the survivors as they stood by. It was extraordinarily moving. Just the coming together of generations.
I think that was wonderful, and really, hearing the stories and when they, lit the candles, and then even, taking off your shoes and putting your items in the basket, and the kids going from being separated. Really, you learn about it, and you can, hear stories about it. But when you actually start experiencing it, it's a whole different level.
Yeah, well, the concept of ritual is an attempt to take memory to reenactment. And only if people actually feel that they were there is whatever it is in history is it remembered. And that's what this is about, to gain a small glimpse of what it was for children to be separated by literally having them being separated, taking the aleph bet, burning the aleph bet, taking off the shoes, stamping numbers on our hands. That's what ritual is about.
It's very powerful, and
Thank you.
it was amazing.
It's Rabbi Sarah and it's Rabbi Stephen. They really are the ones who molded it and shaped it in the way it was just, memory is the bringing togethers of generations, and that's what touched me most deeply, that this was really an intergenerational experience, and may God bless the survivors with many, many more years. But the reality is we're all getting older, and we're moving into what I call long-term memory. And the whole concept of the Passover Seder is Chayav Adam lirot et atzmo kilu hu nigal. Every person has to see himself or herself as if you're there. And that's what this attempt is, for one to imagine for a moment as if one was experiencing the Shoah, to gain a tiny, tiny glimpse of what it was.
So, everyone learns about the Holocaust differently. Everyone remembers the Holocaust differently. And as, as a grandson of a Holocaust survivor, there's a lot of deep emotions. And you've done a really fantastic job in bringing a lot of these emotions to the forefront. Tell us a little bit of how this all got started.
Well, Rav Avi really is the one who should be credited with writing it and having the vision to understand that you have to ritualize something, because if you don't ritualize something and do celebrate it and commemorate something the same way year after year, it's not going to be remembered. And so I really picked up on his vision and ran with it. For me, what was key is getting as many kids involved as possible. Having a teen interview a survivor is a key component of the evening. And it's really very meaningful, the entire process, even before tonight, finding the teens who are sensitive enough and responsible enough to reach out to survivors and matching them up, and then helping them write their thoughts down. Every year it's unique, and every year it's incredibly meaningful.
Especially now when, a lot of Holocaust survivors are, it gets fewer and fewer each year. It's important to continue that memory, and bringing teens and young people together is critical, as it's a long-term memory. I know I was moved by a lot of the different memories that were brought to the forefront. And what are some things that you would recommend, and to help the next generation remember the Holocaust?
The first thing is to talk to survivors, and as you say, that's getting more and more difficult. In fact, this year I had a really hard time finding survivors who were willing and able to participate. The second is to read their work. So many people, so many survivors have written, there's Elie Wiesel and there's Primo Levi, but then there's our members who have written their novels and their autobiographies, and so we should be reading those. And we should be teaching others and talking about this to our peers and to our children.
And it really was a fantastic program, and it's always difficult to come together for these type of things, but it's important as a community to come together and be there for each other. And you've done a fantastic job in really building community. So thank you for the experience.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
As you can see, this was an unbelievable program. This is Aaron Herman, and thank you for watching.